as you call that radio, we're just about to go live. I hope you can all hear us. If you want to help us get the show out there to as many people as possible, then hit the share button. Hit the share button. Or leave a comment saying yes, so that we know that you can hear us. That'd be good. So write yes in the comments so that we know that we can hear us in YouTube and Twitch and Facebook land. And yeah, absolute honour to have Hugh Reed tonight. Let's get the show on the road.
Brothers and sisters, may the peace that can only come from the one God be upon you. We are here to tell the people that we hear you. One God will not allow us and people of conscience to lose our morale. We see the crimes of this government, how they support every dictator and criminal on this earth. Sometimes you can feel down. Sometimes your morale can go down.
Good afternoon, troubadours. Hold on. Good afternoon, troubadours. It's Good Friday. And we've got a belter of a Friday lined up today. We've got Hugh Reed back from China. What has he been up to? What is his take on what's going on? We might even have some viewers in China tuned in for Hugh. So excited about this one. Give it a share. In fact, if anyone's got Hugh as a friend on Facebook, share it onto his page as well, in case people are trying to get hold. Hugh Reed fans are trying to get tuned into the show. Thank you to all our guests. This week's been amazing, man. It's been so good. We've had loads of amazing guests, and we've had loads of new Patreons as well. So shout outs to all the new Patreons. This is look at that for artwork. That's no bad. And tomorrow night, I'll take that away. Tomorrow night we have Gavin Mitchell from Still Game. He'll be on the show tomorrow night. We have what else we got tomorrow night? And then on Sunday we have Mog. We've got Mog. On Easter Sunday we have Mog. So I'm excited for that one. But tonight it's all about Hugh Reed. Absolute legend. Let us know in the comments if you can hear us okay. If you can see us okay. I think this is going to be the best episode of You Call That Radio yet. I don't even know what it's called. Is it You Call That Radio? Is it You Call That Video? Is it the YCTV Quarantine Stream? We're in the newspapers today for bamming up Piers Morgan, who tried to start a beef with Loki on Twitter, and then he shat it and apologised. So I hope you're well. I hope it's a good Friday for you. I know things are fucked, but we're going to have a laugh tonight. Tonight's also the Friday night phone-in. The good Friday night phone-in. So if you want to jump on the show, give us a song, a poem, or give us some chat, no bother. This is the night to do it. This is the night you can actually call that radio. So amazing. Everyone, hit the share button. Write yes in the comments. And let's get you on the show.
Strange mood about
You call that radio.
makes coherent sense.
Brothers and sisters, may the peace that can only come from the one God be upon you. We are here to tell the people that we hear you. One God will not allow us and people of conscience to lose.
Yes. So it's here. It's time. And I'm a huge fan of this guy. And you probably are too. And if you don't know who Hugh is, you're just about to find out and become a fan, I'm sure. So, Hugh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you well.
Brilliant,
Glasgow,
mate.
calling Butte, yeah.
From Butte,
Coming
mate,
through. You're coming through, Glasgow. You're coming through. I've got you.
Yeah. So from China to the Isle of Butte, from Glasgow to China to the Isle of Bute.
From Beijing to Butte, you know.
Beijing to Butte, mate.
That-
Is that a bit of a culture shock?
Well, it's a complete opposite, you know, but it's a welcome break or a welcome change. You know, I bought a house in Butte about 3 years ago, and I'm certainly glad I did that. You know, I come back here every summer, and you know, I love Beijing as well, actually. But it's great to come back here to Butte. You know, it's as you would imagine, it's a contrast.
It's so this wasn't planned? Is this just because of what's been
No,
going on in the
no.
world?
Yeah, actually, it's a long story. My family have had a connection to Butte for years because, well, my brother, he bought a caravan, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago down here. So we used to come down, and then I myself actually bought a caravan about 11 years ago, something like that. So then I had a caravan here. So the family's just kind of had this connection. And, you know, Butte, it doesn't take you long from Glasgow. It takes an hour and a half, including the boat, you know, from Central Station. That's right to the door. So it's a good place to kind of escape to. But Butte's good as well.
Have you played the Isle with Butte Festival? Did you do that?
Yeah, well, I've done that with the Colonel. The Colonel's been very good to me. I've been his guest like 2 or 3 times here, you know, at Butte Fest. But in the past, I played, you know, sort of another festival here. And then I surprised a coach load of elderly English tourists one time. We played in a hotel, and they were all sitting there. I think they were expecting Engelbert Humperdinck, but they got the full waft of the pants, you know. So,
the full waft of the pants. Just to explain that a little bit more.
Because my band was Hugh Reed and the Velvet Underpants. You know, we did Take a Walk on the Clydeside, Linger on Your Pale Blue Eyes, the rap band with a capital C, Making Music for the Deaf, Knickers with Attitude, Scotland's top indie band. And so, but we mostly did our own material, but, you know, some covers, obviously influenced by Lou Reed and the Velvet Underground, but we're Hugh Reed and the Velvet Underpants. So you can check out our first album, Take a Walk on the Clydeside.
When was the last time the last time I spoke to you? So I think I've bumped into you a couple of times since you went to China.
I was on your. Remember, I was on your podcast before, and I think we are both on the same track, Colonel Mustard track. You know, the Junkie Breakfast.
Yes, yeah, we are. I think I'm on the. I'm in the out. I think they just put me talking about the song as the intro or something like that. I was in there to record a verse, but I ended up my verse didn't make it. It was just me moaning about the song. I contributed
the line, something about don't give your kids a smack, you know, something like that.
Yeah, is it? So when you're in China, are you performing? I mean, I know you've been doing loads of acting stuff, more acting stuff, but you still got a live stuff.
And here, I've reformed my band a few times, you know, in the summer when I come back. So here it's Hugh Reed and the Velvet Underpants, but in China it's Hugh Reed and the Electric Shadows. So I've got a band over there, and it's a mixture of, you know, Ben, you know, my friend from Manchester, and you know, Antoine from France, and Nick, you know, from America, and then we've got you know what, a Chinese keyboard player and so on, you know. So it's Hugh Reed and the Electric Shadows, you know, in Beijing. So we play quite a lot in Beijing, but as you know, I'm multi-talentless, and I've done a lot of other things, you know, acting, and well, I work in a university.
There's a lot of true or false, because there's a lot of myths about you, I think, because you actually did go to China, and it's like you're not always close by to answer, confirm or deny. So true or false, were you in train spotting?
Oh yeah, I was in train spotting, you know, 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago. I was in the first train spotting, and you know, the scene where you first see the main girl, you know, I'm chatting her up, and then I buy her a drink, and I have a drink for myself, and then she ends up running away, and I run after her with the 2 drinks. The first thing that Renton says to her, the first, when he meets her, the very first thing he says is, "I really admire the way you dealt with that guy," and that was myself. You know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
amazing.
But it's funny, believe it or not, there's actually a bar in Beijing called Train Spotting. It's amazing how that film has travelled, you know. And
great film.
so I went into, of course, I tried to get some free drinks in the bar, you know, Train Spotting in Beijing, but they had no idea what I was talking about. They just thought,
do you speak Chinese?
Yeah, I can speak some Chinese.
Yep.
I passed level 4 of the official Chinese government exam, and I've got a Chinese name. My Chinese name is Gao Shamfeng, and that means tall mountain peak. So that's my name in Chinese. I sing some songs.
Did you name yourself? Did you get who gave you the name?
Well, it was a Chinese teacher, and it was just because I was tall. And then, of course, you know, Scotland, as we know, has a lot of hills and so on. So it's been a good name, and I like it. I like the Chinese name, and you know, so I sing some songs in Chinese. I do my Karnik song in Chinese, and then I've written a song called Ni Fa Feng Lama. That means "Are you crazy?" in Chinese, and I've written kind of. There's been different Chinese people in my band over the years, so they help me sort of write songs. So I try and do, most of the songs are still in English, but maybe a third of the songs are in Chinese. Of course, it's quite, you know, simple Chinese, but you know, I like to do that.
Another true or false, because you said Karnik. John the Hat says that he helped carry you in a coffin to the stage once, and you changed the words to, you just said your coffin nicked.
Yeah, what happened was it was a Halloween gig, and it was it was for the Glasgow Vampire Society, and it was for that St Andrews. It was in that St Andrews in the square, so we called ourselves Dr. Acula and the Guilty Undertakers that night. So I was carried on stage in the coffin, right? And then I've just had my coffin nicked. I only left it for a minute. My granny was in it, you know. So tasteful stuff, you know.
Tasteful stuff. True or false? You got off with Blondie, Debbie Harry for Blondie?
No, that's false. The guitarist got off with her. My guitarist got off with her, but not me. Not me.
You toured with her?
Yeah, we toured. We did a full UK tour with her. I mean, it was quite a long time ago in 1994. If you go to YouTube and you put in Hugh Reed, Deborah Harry, you'll see me singing the Velvet Underpants song, Waiting for the Man, you know, with Deborah Harry. That was kind of, if I say so myself, that was a highlight of my career.
Yeah, it doesn't get much cooler than that, mate.
No, it was a total pleasure. And she was a really nice woman, down to earth. I met her, again, 10 years ago. It's a long story. She played at the SECC, and sort of through the people that got the gig, first of all, I got backstage, and she remembered my face, but she got me mixed up with someone else. But I didn't want to correct her, and I thought, how many people does she meet? And she obviously vaguely remembers me, you know. But we did that full UK tour with her, so you know that was really good.
That's amazing, man. So is when you go, so is that you back in Butte now for good, or are you planning to go back when things calm down?
You see, this whole situation, I feel it's followed me all year. You know, just by chance. You know,
Are you washing your hands, Hugh? Are you washing your hands?
No, I did something. No, but the screen disappeared on me there. But see, what happened was I came back because it's Chinese New Year. You know, just at the beginning of February or start of February. So I came back here, and literally like the day or two after I came back, this virus was announced in China, and then what happened is, I'm actually saying I'm a university teacher there. I teach, officially I teach English, but unofficially I teach Scottish. I always say when my students go to America, no one can understand them, but they can order whiskey at the bar, no problem. But anyway, teaching, enjoy it. And so now I'm still teaching the students. I teach them online. For example, I was up at 5 o'clock this morning because China's 7 hours ahead of us just now. So that was like a midday class. So I was teaching that at 5 o'clock this morning. But because of the virus, it's really bizarre. I can't go back to Beijing, but the students can't go back to the university. So the students, they're all over China in their houses. So the students haven't been able to return. I mean, this unfortunately gives me an idea of, China is getting better now, and slowly, people are going back to work, and restaurants and so on are opening, but it's still a slow process. So that's been going on really since the beginning of February. So that gives you an idea how long this process might go on.
And would they be right in saying that China's obviously a lot stricter with the lockdown and stuff like that? So, I mean, what kind of is the differences between what's happening here and what's happening there in the response?
Well, see, in China, most people live in communities. It's just the way things are done. You have your own private flat, but you tend to have a guard at the gate, which lets you into the big block of flats. So what happened was the government, well, as far in the block that I'm in and my friends in Beijing, the government sent out guards. So they knew who lives in the flats because they had your name and all that. And so you were only allowed to go out to the shop every second day, and you were only allowed for an hour. And then the other thing is that they would take your temperature. So if your temperature was high, they just whip you off to the hospital, But, I'm glad to hear things are getting better, in China. China, of course, has been through a lot, but unfortunately, it just seems so, because even before it all broke out here, because I'm in constant contact with my friends in Beijing, so I've kind of got an idea of what they've been going through, talking to them through the social media, and then it's here, and it's sort of like, you just had enough of this thing. But, as we know, there's positive and negatives and everything. Like, for example, there's a lot less pollution now in China. And I think people, just maybe the same here, people have begun to think about what's important in life. Because, China is a great country, the people are great, but, they work really, really hard. Like, most Chinese people work 6 days a week, they work really hard. But now, for the last 3 months, they haven't been able to work. So I think people have had a lot of time, reflecting just about life, and also families have been able to catch up with each other. Of course, it's not something that anybody would have wanted, but it's kind of its positive side as well.
Yeah, absolutely, man. What was the differences with Beijing? Because obviously Wuhan got it really bad. I mean, how bad was things in Beijing?
Well, I'll tell you, I know Wuhan. I've been to Wuhan twice. Wuhan is considered the punk rock capital of China. There's a brilliant bar called Prison Bars in Wuhan. It's a great place, great people. I was quite, in a lot of ways, when I heard this thing was going on, it was quite upsetting, actually, being honest. Especially the people in Wuhan, because, they've had it really tough. But I'm really glad that it's moving on,
Yeah, man, absolutely. See who's on the comments. We've got Geraint says he's in the house. We've got Joe McCann in the house. Duncan Campbell's here. Geraint says Mog, well done. Yep, that's Sunday. We've got Mog. John Soapy's in the house. Petra's in the house. Sky. Yes. John the Hat. Got kicked out of Bella Park today with my pal in a wheelchair because we stopped for a rest. Got to keep moving, said the cops. That was actually, they were talking about that in question time tonight. That's a lot of people were talking about that. So I've got friends that are working, they're actually working in hospitals or whatever, and they're exercising all day. So they're saying, well, their idea of mental exercise for them is to just, after a long shift, is just to sit in the park for 20 minutes. And obviously, the counter argument is that people shouldn't be sitting around the park. So it's a tough one because I can see both sides of the argument. I mean, what do you think, Hugh, yourself?
Yeah, well, I know I can see both sides of the argument. I mean, I'm down here in Butte, so I've just been going out every second day, and I actually stay outside Rossi. I stay in Ardbeg. So my form of exercise every second day is I get on the bicycle and I cycle the other way. I don't cycle into Rossi. I cycle the other way. I feel like being on the bike, because it's really quiet here now, so I'm mostly in the middle of the road. So I feel I'm not interacting, with other people. And you know, but yeah, I think as long as, well, you know, I'm not a medical expert, but I think as long as people keep social distance, because I suppose we have to keep our fitness levels up. But of course, you know, people have to very much keep the social distance.
You know, that's the problem. I mean, it's if you've not got a garden and you're living in a populated city. I mean, even just walking down to the park. I mean, I've just probably just not been going out much at all. Every time I go to the park, I just feel like there is too many people, and I don't know if people are just maybe not aware of the spatial awareness or whatever. But it just feels a bit risky. But if I had an empty park or a big garden, that would be ideal.
Yeah, sure. You know, I suppose it's just a case of, you know, getting through it. You know, I can sing a song if you like. I've got a song, folk song.
All right, that'd be brilliant, man.
Right, it's an unaccompanied song, you know. So I'll just get into sort of character here, you know, with a sort of heart, right? And so, I am a shipyard worker. I work on the Clyde. When we build those big ships, we build them with pride. From first thing in the morning to the last thing at night. We did not complain, though the wages were not very good. Just have a break here. When I was just 16, I met a young girl, and I promised her that one day I would show her the world. We met in September. We were over the moon, but we were young and we were foolish, and we had to get married by June. She gave me a daughter, the first child of 10, and I was the envy of my bachelor friends. So often so, they used to give her fine gifts and come round to see her when I was on shifts. So now I'm an old man, I have time to think. As I sit here with just the price of a drink, as I sit here and I slowly get plastered, I hope you realise I'm just a boring old bastard. So that's folk song.
Nice one. Folk song.
Folk song, yeah.
It's called folk song.
Yeah, folk song, yeah.
Where is it? Is it on? Is it on anywhere else?
No. I mean, maybe you'll find it on YouTube because people look at it and when they see me, you go, "Yeah, tube," you know.
Amazing, man. You don't really do the social media thing. Oh, in China, I suppose you can't really do.
Well, China has its own social media. You know, in China, everyone uses a thing called WeChat, you know, or Weixin. And in fact, they use it a lot. You know, they use it to pay for things. And everybody's got WeChat. So that's the social media that I use to promote my gigs and so on, you know, in China. And I've promoted this as well. Yeah, I'm not sure if this stream will be blocked. Some things are blocked, you know, like Facebook, YouTube, but other things are not blocked. But lots of people have what's called VPN, you know, and you kind of, it's bypassing the Great Firewall of China, you know, so that's true. A lot of people use that, you know.
I mean, you're what you have got is amazing videos on YouTube because, I mean, can you upload your videos onto WeChat for the Chinese audience? Have they seen your videos?
In China, WeChat's a bit more like WhatsApp, but you know, there's the Youku is equivalent to YouTube. So I upload my videos to Youku, and there's something else called Bilibili, you know, and maybe upload to that. A lot of people don't realise that. A lot of people always go on about, you know, Western sites are blocked in China, but a lot of Chinese sites are blocked in the West. You know, so like there's QQ Music, you know, that's really good for listening to any music at all. In fact, I'm so amazed what I find on QQ Music. I find Glasgow bands and everything on QQ Music, but that's blocked here for copyright reasons. So it kind of works the other way around a bit here as well. If it's a big capitalist country, big capitalist company, they make sure that the Chinese sites are blocked here for their copyright reasons, you know.
Yeah, because I've heard that because China doesn't really go along with the same copyright laws as the rest of the world. Is that right?
Well, they do have the copyright laws, but maybe especially, and it's become a bit more strict in recent years. But I mean, I like being in China. Yeah, I still buy DVDs, and you can buy DVDs of just about any movie and so on, really cheap. But I'm not on top of the new media as much as I should be, and especially when it's all in Chinese, it's very hard for me to navigate. But they can download movies and all that. Really,
is that how difficult a language did you find?
Well, it's difficult. It's difficult, but it's it's a fascinating language. I really like learning the characters. Like for example, the character for good. How is good, and that's a character of a mother and a child together. So a mother and a child together, is good. And I think Chinese, like we don't know the place names. For example, why is Glasgow called Glasgow? We know it's Deer Green Place or something, but we're kind of disconnected to our own language because maybe 200 years ago we started speaking English, but we're disconnected to the language we spoke before. But our Chinese people, their language has been pretty uninterrupted, like for 5,000 years. So when I hear the name of a city like Beijing, that means northern capital. Nanjing means southern capital. And like Shanghai, it means above the sea. Sichuan means 4 rivers. So in a lot of ways, I think Chinese people are more connected to their history. Like an equivalent would be Newcastle. We know when we hear the word Newcastle, there must have been a castle there at some time that was new, but most times we don't know what the place names mean. But
yeah, it always kind of just boggles my brain how where street names even came from. Like sometimes I think about that and I go, well, at what point does someone say, right, that block of houses needs a name for that? But
yeah, I know, and then as I say, but I think we are disconnected with our history because people think that we spoke Gaelic, but in the lowlands we didn't speak Gaelic, so this is where I feel Chinese people are very kind of aware of their own history, and I think that relates to language actually, and it even relates to the writing, because we spell words, with the A, B, C, D, etc. Whether they quite often use symbols for words. So words, in my opinion, words don't change so much because it's kind of fixed a little bit because it's fixed with a symbol to a degree, Yeah. So I think this is a way that they're connected. And then when you begin to learn the characters, you can learn a lot about the old life. For example, Jia is home, and then the symbol is a pig under a roof. And so that tells you that the definition of a household in the past was you had to have a pig, So there's sort of things like that.
You need the characters. Man. We've got loads of comments coming in actually. Mary says her brother Paul Phillips. So keep an eye out for Paul Phillips. Do you know him?
No, I wonder if he lives in Beijing. I tend to know the Scottish people actually in Beijing.
This might be a wee bit earlier. This might be in Butte, I think.
All right, okay. I'll probably know them in Butte as well.
Shout outs to Alan Rorison who's tuned in. Carol Lagerfani says, "Got to love the dink." We've got 61.
Yeah,
says
I
Bob Lowy.
know Bob from East Kilbride. Yeah.
Alistair Wilson says, "Enjoying seeing you at it. Shuggy, all the best."
He's actually in my band here in Scotland. As it was quite funny because he'd been in the band for about 10 years. Oh. I went round to his house and he's got this fantastic Gibson guitar, right? And I'm going, I never realised you had a Gibson guitar. I just thought you had a cheap Ibanez. And he goes, do you think I'm playing my good Gibson guitar when you're jumping about the stage like an idiot?
Here we go. John McMustard's in the house. Cheers for the shout. We got Steve Robertson. you know Steve?
I think so.
Maybe, I don't know if that's Inverness. Is that Inverness, Steve? I think it might be Inverness, Steve. Duncan Campbell says, Soapy the guitarist stole your bird. I think that's maybe...
Really?
Oh no, I think he's maybe talking about Blondie. Is he talking about Debbie Harry?
Yeah, that's right. Yes, sure. That'll be that.
If you... Oh, John, this is... If you need... Oh, that's a bot. I wouldn't click that, anyone. I think that's a bot. Say if you want free money, click that link. I would buyer beware of that one. We've got Sharon Drysdale. It's getting rife in Dunfermline. We've got Mary Phillips saying, my brother is a teacher at Rosyth Academy. We've got Yabba Baba, who said choose a legend.
Legend.
We got Raymond Dito in Perth. Bob is hoping to jam with you in Beijing next year.
Yeah, well, definitely. I hope it happens. Bob's a Tai Chi instructor, and he goes to China quite often, and he can speak a bit of Chinese as well.
Brilliant. Sharon saying, I'm lucky to have a garden, getting best pals with my neighbours. You're very lucky indeed. Anyone who's got a wee bit of space, enjoy it. Mark, you might think I'm kidding now, but I have snogged Clem Burke. I'm a woman of the world. These things happen.
I saw some girls snogging Clem Burke, actually. He was quite popular.
It's popular. Yeah, see, Petra's, the reason she's saying you might think I'm kidding, but she phoned up the Friday night phone-in last week to say that she got off with Steve Coogan for Alan Partridge.
Really?
She's a woman of the world, no doubt about it. Tracy Wilderness, I missed the days of the Vicky Bar and making videos.
Oh yeah, Davy Sheeran. Davy directed the movie that I was in. It was quite interesting.
What movies? Because obviously we touched briefly on the Train Spotting cameo, but is it true or false? Films with Jackie Chan.
Yeah, I'm in a Jackie Chan movie. It's called 12 Zodiacs. It's not a big part, I'm a butler. So if you watch the Jackie Chan movie, there's a guy I wheel in, in a wheelchair, and then I get him a couple of cups of coffee. So, but it was really interesting to meet Jackie Chan. He was the director, of course, and it was a bit of a surprise because in China you get phoned by agents and you never know what's happening. You've got no idea. So I just turned up early. And I didn't even know what I was going to be doing. And then I'm a butler, and then I see Jackie Chan, and then he was the director. So that was obviously interesting.
You must get interesting parts because you are a Scottish guy, a mountain.
Well, we call ourselves, white monkeys. You don't need much talent, so it suits me fine. You just need a white face, and there's a shortage of white faces. So I've done a lot of stuff. I was Kaiser Wilhelm in a documentary, about World War I. I've been Henry Kissinger. I've been a Tory politician. I've been American doctor, and I've been a priest. So it's been a lot of sort of different things,
Yeah, that's mad, man. So you how many? What was the point with the pantomime? I remember seeing a video of you talking Chinese, and it was like you looked like an emperor or something.
But my screen keeps disappearing here. That was at the SC. That was here at the Royal Concert Hall about 10 years ago. I did. It was the Chinese New Year concert, and so obviously I'm friendly with quite a lot of people in the Chinese community. So I did a performance. In fact, Bob, who sent a message earlier on, he was in that band. So I did I wrote a couple of daft songs in Chinese. So we performed them at the big Chinese New Year concert at the Royal Concert Hall. So that's up on YouTube.
I mean, Tracy was saying about the Vicky Bar. What was it, the Pandora we played a gig in? Because I remember playing a gig with you. I think was it the Pandora?
Yeah, that would make sense. But I remember a great gig in Ayr or Irvine. It was one of the two.
Ayr. I think it was Ayr. It was Sammy B, Pixie Brown put it on, and Roscoe Vacant. I don't
Yeah,
know if
that's right. Yeah,
it was
Roscoe
Roscoe
Bacon,
Bacon
I
was there.
remember.
And,
Yeah, no, I remember that was a brilliant night, that.
that was the first ever. We didn't. None of my. It was an acoustic gig, so none of my guitar, my band didn't turn up, so I had to kind of make it work. I think Jess Hopkins joined me on fiddle, and I can't remember who else. Maybe Gordy. I don't know, but it was great to you. It was like a kind of. It was like a church or something. It was like a pew set up. If I remember.
Well, I
correctly.
remember. I don't know what I did, but I was swinging a light or something, and I managed to. We were upstairs, and the bar down the stairs somehow or other we fused the lights down there. Our lights were fine, but through the plug, we managed to fuse the lights downstairs in the bar. It was a good way of getting them to come up, from downstairs.
Ricky the Wise Goldfish, who remixed the intro song for this podcast, he said it was one of the funniest gigs he's ever been to earlier on today.
I just remember it was a good vibe that day. It
was a great laugh. It was a good laugh. And then there was another night, and I was trying to remember the name of the place, but the Gyro Babies learned a couple of your tunes, and you came in with the big boxing gloves.
Yeah, that's right. Was that?
Where was that? It was Sucky Hall Street. I can remember the building. It's like just next to the garage. I keep on wanting to say Berkeley, but it's not Berkeley Street because Berkeley Street's round the corner. But it was Berkeley something.
I think that might have been after the first year I went to China. I came back in the summer, and then we decided to do that. Yeah, I did a couple of songs. I remember with a couple of your band.
Yeah, I think they'll remember 6 to 1 and Carnicked.
Probably, because
like
that's
that.
the same ones that I do with Colonel Mustard. They're easy to learn. I wrote them, so they're easy.
If anyone knows the name of that place, because it was also when the art school was going under renovations, isn't it? Always going under renovations, but the years and years ago before the fire, or maybe it was after the first fire, I'm pretty sure the art school took over the venue and called it the art school or something.
Yeah. It's all coming back to me now. Yeah,
Beresford. It's next to the garage.
Yeah,
someone put me in my memory.
The Beresfords, yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
We've got some more comments coming in. We've got Alan Rodison said, "This is brilliant stuff, beats any shite on the telly." We've got Sine. Am I pronouncing that right? Sine. Saying, I like this guy's knowledge on history.
Maybe
Sinead. Sorry. Shouts to Sinead. Kyle Innes, a blast from the past.
Kyle, I was in a band with Kyle many years ago. He was a drummer.
What was the band?
What was the name of the band again? Because that was one of the first bands. I played bass at that time. I've even forgotten the name of the band, But I know Kyle from way back. We worked in the Garden Festival, actually. 1988, worked in the Garden Festival.
That was that was just before the Year of Culture and all that.
Yeah.
So maybe your garden was a lot to do with that. Maybe tipped the scales in Glasgow's favour.
Sure.
We got tell Hugh Shabby. Is it Shabby? Shabby says hi.
Okay, right, very good. You can tell him Shabby. I say hi back. Well, I could do another song. Will I do another song then?
Yeah, mate, do as many as you want.
This is kind of we could call effectively, a duet, because I'll be expecting you for the last verse.
Right, okay.
It's one of the songs we're talking about. I've had to make do, I'm using a keyboard here as an amp. So I hope this sounds okay, Right. So Oi! I've just had my car nicked. I've just had my car nicked. Only left it for a minute. I've just had my car nicked. Only left it for a minute. The keys were in it.
just as his car nicked. He only left it for a minute. The keys were in it.
This virus will be gone by April the 1st. It's okay to go outside. It's just a cold. There's nothing to worry about.
Yes. Nice one, man.
Special
that
guest
tune.
appearance there.
Special guest appearance from the
Came up
president.
Trump. Came up
Everything's
Trump
under
again.
control. I hear that America's got the greatest testing system in the world. Everything's fine. Very fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everything's going to be absolutely fine. Everyone just get back to work. Just get back to work. Everything's fine.
The biggest number of deaths probably of any country, you know, everything's going fine. Yeah, as long as the stock market's okay, you know, that's all right. You know.
Yeah, it's man. By the way, Carnick is probably one of my favourite tunes of all time. It just sounds amazing.
I can tell you another story about Carnick. I don't want to be name dropping all the time, but that was Marquis Smith's one of his favourite songs, because you know we toured with The Fall, and Marquis Smith on the bus. We weren't on the bus, but I was told by the band members he put that on repeat. That song, which lasts 1 minute 13 seconds, he put that on repeat for like an hour and a half. So Marquis Smith rated that song. You know, the
name drop banner up for that one, man.
Right, that's quite right. Quite right.
No, that's great, man. The Fall are amazing, and that's so cool. What is it? Was he sound use? Did they like you? Because I know that apparently he's not the kind of guy that you wanted to get on the bad side of.
I mean, I can honestly say that he is the most out there guy that I've met. You know, I was quite. But when we played with them, you know, Bricks was in the band, but they had an argument in the middle of the tour, right? And so then she wasn't in the band. And I remember we were down in Sheffield, the lead mill in Sheffield, and, you know, we got there early and we were really pleased. It was just really nice dressing room, right? So we're making ourselves at home because we're so used to changing in the toilet and all that, you know, playing bars. Then the Fall arrive, and then we're told, you've got to get out of here. And we say, but there's 2 dressing rooms. And they said, oh, Marquis Smith, he has a dressing room for himself. And then the band, they have a dressing room. So he's sitting there and is lonesome with a crate of champagne. He always had a crate of champagne as a rider, you know. So then we went on stage, and then we helped him, you know, with his champagne, you know. But I can tell another story. I was talking to, you know, the you know, one of the guys, you know, in The Fall, and it's like kind of state the obvious. You know, it must be difficult working with Mark at times, you know. Well, I know you're Mark, but this is Marquis Smith, and he told a story that he picked up his, you know, he was taking his 4-year-old daughter, you know, to the nursery, but The Fall were also having a rehearsal. So his 4-year-old daughter was in the back seat, and then he picked up Marquis Smith, you know, because he was going to drop his daughter off, and then they would go to the rehearsal. And to his surprise, Marquis Smith didn't go in the front; he went in the back, you know, beside his daughter. So then he said, "This is my daughter, like Rosemary or something." And Marquis Smith took a big draw out of his fag, and he breathed in, and then he went like that, breathed smoke all over. He went, "I'm your evil Uncle Mark." And then, of course, she burst into tears, you know, and uncontrollable tears. And so that was, and then, you know, he left her off at the nursery. So that was working with Marquis Smith, you know. But he was a good, of course, we all know he was a great innovator, you know, and he was really an interesting conversationalist, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I read the book. It wasn't his autobiography, but it was the one that he co-signed, basically. It was a guy that he approved of it. And it was just such a good read, because it wasn't like, you know, it wasn't like most biographies where they try and make themselves look like a good guy. He seemed to be quite aware that he wasn't. But that always makes it a good read, because you don't want to read a biography about, oh yeah, then I did this and then I said this and that was great. So I quite admired his honesty, that he was aware that he could also
enjoy, you know, his gigs, you know, you know, the band are all playing and he's going up messing about with their amplifiers and all that, you know. I mean, it's like it used to be so, you know.
You can hear his vocal style. If you really listen closely, it's all over so many different genres of music that took that style, and there's so many nods to the Fall. And I think a lot of people might not, sort of younger generation now, might not even know that they're copying acts that copied the Fall, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's true. And the thing was, you can never say that the guy sold out. You know, it's like he was always out there. You know, he was always doing his own thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And his last, I'm still gutted. It's a massive regret of mine that I didn't get to catch his last ever gig, which was in the QMU, I think, in Glasgow.
Oh, right.
He was on a wheelchair and everything. That was his last ever gig, and I couldn't make it that night, but I really wish I had now.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, man, that's so. So you actually on? So you're on tour. I mean, how many?
Well, when I say on tour, we did. It was 3 or 4 gigs. It was kind of the middle of the tour because we supported them at the, you know, what's now called Caledonia University, and then we went through to Edinburgh and supported them. And that night, he was going crazy. It was like a Johnny Cash. You know, there was lights around the stage, and he just started breaking the lights. And then you know, Bricks walked off. So we saw that happening, and then we went down to Sheffield, and Bricks wasn't there, you know, and so they did that gig, you know, without Bricks, and then it was a bit of a long story. We you know, played in Manchester, and then it was quite funny. Bricks turned up again because we went to this nightclub, you know, after the gig. And I was a bit taken aback because Bricks came up and asked me to dance, right? And then we were dancing in front of Marquis Smith. And but I think she was doing that to piss Marquis Smith off. I think that's why she was doing it. And I was aware of it.
It's probably not a role that you'd be wanting to play.
Not at all. You know, I was thinking, I don't want to be.
I know that you're quite happy to take any acting role that's going in China, but the role of pissing off Marquis Smith, a guy who doesn't take a lot to get pissed off by.
No. But then I was speaking to him at the bar, and he was telling me that he liked Carnick, and then the night in Sheffield that we had with him after the gig, that was a totally crazy night, you know. But you know, it was it's all part of life's rich tapestry, you know.
So, and I think you've had plenty of rich tapestry, Hugh. Definitely, man. We've got Pixie Brown in the house, who's Sammy B. She's confirmed that it was Bar Libertine in Ayr.
Oh, right. Yeah, I remember
That's good
as well. Yes, yeah.
It says Big Car Iron Brew. Well, it's a Friday night phone in, Sammy. So if a bit later on, if you want to jump on, it'd be good to see your face, Sammy. Like I said to anyone else, there is got to be later on. We're going to have a Friday night phone in, so that we'll open up so you can actually call that radio if you want to give us a song or a poem or do a turn. That's fine. We've got Yabba Baba says boxing gloves at McCool's.
Well, that's true. Yeah, McCool's, that was like our old haunting ground. And actually, when I've come back in the summers, I usually do a gig in McCool's, and it's always great. And of course, I shout out to Nikki. You know, Nikki, I heard you talking to Steg, you know, about the Scottish hip hop scene. And it's no surprise to me that Nikki's supportive there as well. You know, Nikki really has helped the Scottish music scene a lot. You know, when you get paid, that's, you know, it's when you play, it's not like King Tut's or something where they expect you to give them money. You know, Nikki just pays you. And it's my favourite place to play in Glasgow, you know, at McCool's.
Yeah. I used to pay to play. Now they just pay me to fuck off.
Right. No, I totally disagree with that pay to play. It's not, it's complete nonsense, you know.
We've got Petra always says, Hugh, all the kids are wearing dresses on stage these days. You're so fashion forward.
Well, that's true. You know, I used to come on stage in the wedding dress, and I started a fad in Beijing because what happened was I thought Beijing hasn't seen the wedding dress, so I took the wedding dress to Beijing. So I was coming on stage in the wedding dress, and I think they were quite liking it. And then I saw this female punk band, and then the girl came on stage in a wedding dress, you know, and then she came up to me afterwards and she told me she'd been inspired. So that was good. I was pleased about that.
We've got Kyle says, remember Big George?
Well, I Big George in the business, you know. Did you remember Big George? Were you too young?
I was too young. I've heard all the stories, but I've not.
Yeah.
I think educate us a bit on Big George in the business. Can you?
Big George, you know, he used to have residencies. You know, he was a great blues guitarist, great singer. It was a great blues band that he had. I remember, was it the Amphora and some other places? He used to always seem to have residencies, you know, like it'd be every Monday one place, every Thursday another place. And in those days, you had a lot of, you know, the Blue Angels, you know, the bikers. So they would be there. And of course, I was young at the time, so it was always kind of quite exciting and sort of edgy sort of thing. And he used to go to Canada a lot, and he recorded an album, and you know, he was really popular. And then another good friend of mine, Rolling Joe, he played piano on that album, but unfortunately, the guy just drank too much. And then, you know, I saw him latterly, and he was just so drunk, and he'd lost a lot of weight, you know. And but he was always a friendly guy, really friendly guy. And you know, we supported them. Well, like maybe just one time supported them, but I think a lot of people just at that time, that would have been in the 70s and the 80s, they were definitely you know, would have been inspired, you know, by Big George, and it was a great live act that he had, you know, Honest Blues.
But you just said the 80s there. Before I forget, I was laughing last night because, was it last night? Yeah, after we did the Steg interview, you came on just to do a wee sound check to make sure everything was working on here. And obviously I said, oh, you might know him from the 80s, 90s. And you're just like, because obviously every newspaper article or any bit of media I see, and they always say, Hugh Reed, an icon from the 80s. But
they always say that from the 80s. And as I said to you that time, I did my first gig as the Underpants on October the 13th, 1989. And then we did one other gig. I think it was Annie Miller's. And then so we only ever did two gigs, and there wasn't that many people there in the 80s. So it was really the 90s, I think the early 90s, because we got...
Must have been some gigs, man. Maybe it was just those two gigs.
But I suppose it was in 1990, we did get a lot of kind of prominence because we got signed to Tower Records, and that's when 6 to 1 came out. So, well, you know, we weren't exactly on Radio 1 all the time or anything, but, you know, in Glasgow...
The videos, man, I mean, the videos look really good. I mean, normally you get...
A good friend of mine, Brian Keeley, you know, he directed and edited those videos. You know, Brian did a fantastic job, and I feel that those videos still stand the test of time.
Absolutely, man. I mean, obviously, you can tell you can tell when something's from a certain era because of the pixels or whatever. But that adds to the charm of it all, and just the actual whole look of it. You could tell there was a lot of work went into, a lot of thought, and the editing is amazing on them. I would recommend, if anyone's not seen Hugh's stuff, check out 6 to 1, check out Carnic.
Techno Drugs.
Oh, I want to talk about Techno Drugs. That is one of the things I want to ask about, because that's another true or false. True or false, Techno Drugs, it was funded by the Scottish government.
What happened was, it was an anti-drugs agency, and they were trying to find a way of, I don't know, you know, sort of like doing an anti-drugs song. So somehow or other, some of the people used to come and see my band. So they asked us if we would do a song, and we said no problem. And then, well, we got, it's a long story, but we got a release through BMG. And strangely enough, I ripped off a David Bowie song, you know, because the chorus goes, I'm happy, hope you're happy too. So it eventually came out, you know, as a 12-inch and a CD and so on. And but the initial funding came from something like the Scottish Drugs Agency. But then it ended up the record company match funded it, so it was more money sort of thing. I was a bit
it's-
annoyed because I felt the video was good, and the video ended up getting played a lot in Europe. But I knew I was getting phone calls like a friend in Italy and stuff saying, "We've just seen your video on the telly," but then I knew there was no records out in Europe, you know, and so it was sort of annoying. So for 2 weeks, it was being played a lot on equivalent to the MTV or whatever, you know, in Europe, and then they ditched it, presumably, you know, when they realised there was no records there. But somehow or other, they had ended up, you know, with the video. So I feel
for anyone that's not heard Techno Drugs, check it out. Techno Drugs is an anti, and just bear in mind when you're watching it, it's an anti-drugs song, but it's definitely got that flavour of the summer of love, the 80s, late 80s, early 90s, that rave.
I was deliberately trying to, I was trying to make a song that was relevant to people who took drugs, you know, because obviously the techno scene was going at that time, and then the whole idea was not to make it kind of preachy or anything, you know. In fact, we just did a song, more or less, being honest.
It kind of makes you want to go out dancing. That's what I'll say about it. It's a song that makes you want to go out dancing.
Yeah, I'm still proud of that song. We don't do it live now because you know, it was programmed and so on, so it's not really a live track. But you know, I feel quite proud of it.
Oh, you should be, man. It's it definitely. I've put it on many a time. It's a house.
I know you're a man of taste.
Party.
I know you're definitely a man of taste, 100%.
We've got loads of comments coming in the new, man. We've got Rach. Shouts to Rach D. Superb shug, says Bob. Alistair Wilson. The world would be a much duller place without Hugh Reed.
Well, it'll be a lot duller without Ali as well, you know.
Tracy says, take a walk in the Clyde side. The Fall, Marky would be nice to nick your riff. No, Marky would be looking to nick your riff.
Yeah, probably. He'd be looking to nick your band, you know, because he had so many people that went through his band.
Just had your riff nicked. You only left it for a minute. Marquis was in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
The last Fall gig was brilliant, says Angela Doherty. Jilly says she's got a great photo of me and my sister with Hugh wearing his giant boxing glove McCool's after yet another great gig. Sammy B is saying Big George legend. Dino McInnes, Sunday afternoon gigs, seen Big George. And John Baird is echoing this sentiment. George was a legend. Him and the Doc together were amazing.
I remember the Doc. Yeah, the Doc was in. He was kind of George's right-hand man, really.
And the Bars Iron Brew song. I mean, we've got to talk about that, actually. That's probably one of your most well-known tunes.
Yeah, I just wrote a song, you know, Bars Iron Brew, you know, made in Scotland from girders over the secret ingredient. There's been unsolved murders. Bars, Iron Brew, you know.
You could drink it in the brew.
That, absolutely. Although if I sing it in China, no one knows what I'm singing about. So I have to drop that one.
So what, did Bars ever hear the song? I'm sure they heard the song. Did they ever respond?
No, I did. I tried to contact the advertising agency or whatever. You know, but I'll tell you, I was in a Bars Iron Brew advert, strangely enough. I was in a Bars Iron Brew advert, you know, with, you know, Big John Duncan, you know, who was a guitarist in Exploited. And
brilliant, yeah.
Mackenzie. Well, there was, in fact, yeah, if you look for folk song on YouTube, I think you see part of the Iron Brew advert, and it was just, we were standing. There was about 9 people, but included Big John Duncan and myself, and we are standing on the side of the street, and then there's a water, and then the sports car comes along, and then it splashes the water over us, and it goes refreshing. Unfortunately, they had to film it about 7 times, so we got soaked about 7 times. But so I was in an Iron Brew advert.
Was that before or after the song?
That was before the song, strangely enough.
Yeah. Do you think that was maybe what part of the inspiration came from?
Maybe. I was just trying to think about iconic, you know, Scottish things. I could
And
do
then-
another song here if you
Yeah.
want.
Go for it, man. Yeah.
Well, this song's about, if you look here, there's this guy here, Gravilo Principe, and then the Archduke Ferdinand, Countess Sophie, and people who know their history will know that Gravilo Principe, shot the Archduke, Ferdinand, and that's what started World War I. So this is called, Gravilo Blues. My name is Gravilo now, a second name of Principe. My name is Gravilo now, a second name of Principe. About 100 years ago, I got myself in some trouble deep. Was all pretty rash now, I'm prepared to confess. It was all pretty rash now, I'm prepared to confess. Oh well, I shot the Archduke and I plugged the Countess. I know now what I did was not right. I know now what I did was not right. How was I to know it would end in such a big fight? I've got the blues. I've got some blues here. I've got the blues. I've got the I started World War I blues. I've got the blues. I started World War I blues. From my assassin hat to my Serbian Croat shoes.
Yeah. Amazing,
A
mate.
bit of history there. Bit of history.
Bit of history indeed. A bit of Valium too.
Yeah.
Just before we
Blue Smart.
Before we go any further, I need to just give a wee, before we go any further, mate, I just need to go on a wee bit. Shout out to Murphamish, who the show wouldn't be possible without Murphamish, who helped me get the microphone and everything all set up here. So shouts to Murphamish and all the patrons. We went from 104 down to 90 after the coronavirus. Now we're up to 110.
I'll
last
try
week.
and contribute to that myself, because I
you're
really appreciate what you're doing. It's a great show. I've watched quite a few. I'm looking forward to Gavin. Tomorrow.
Gavin tomorrow should be good, man. Yeah, Gavin Mitchell tomorrow, Morgan Sunday.
I can tell you another interesting fact. This is me name dropping like mad here. I shouldn't be doing this.
Hold on, let me get the name drop thing up.
Well, Sanjeev Kohli, who's also in Still Game. He used to be the keyboard player in my band.
No way.
Yeah, that's true. Sanjeev played 2 gigs in my band as
That's
a keyboard
amazing.
player.
I had no idea.
That's true. That's true.
So yeah, tonight we've got Hugh Reed. Tomorrow we've got Gavin Mitchell. Sunday we've got Mog, and then on Wednesday we've got, I don't know what's happening on Monday, Tuesday.
Well,
Tuesday. Sorry,
I saw Bomb Scare, at Butte Fest last year.
Great band. Really good band, Bomb Scare.
Definitely.
We had Mandy, the bassist. She started playing with Katie Tunstall over the last year as well.
Really?
So Mandy on the show on Sunday there, and
Right.
a couple of the Bomb Scare guys, Callum and Scott, came on the show.
Yeah, well, it was a great show here at Butte Fest. And then
they're a brilliant band, man.
I know they had a party afterwards down at the Honky Tonk. The party went on all night. I heard all about it.
I'm sure it would have been a good party if Bomb Scare is involved as well. So they're going to be on Wednesday. And also, what's interesting about that one is Joe Dark's got a new project called Joe Jive and the Beehive 5, and it's going to be unleashed. So after we have the Bomb Scare chat, we're going to have an after party with Joe Dark's new project, Joe Jive and the Beehive 5. And also on Tuesday, we've got Kevin Goldie. Thursday, I can't tell you what's happening yet, but we've got lots of stuff happening. I don't know nothing's planned for Monday though, so leave your suggestions. I don't know what's happening on Monday, but if you are enjoying the show, we're here every day at 7 o'clock. Then you can support it for $3 a month at patreon.com/you call that radio. Or if you want to do a one-off donation, it's paypal.me/you call that radio. And the last thing is follow us on Twitch if you can. It's a better quality of visuals and sound, and we're trying to get our viewers up over there. And final shout out to Mark, Leanne, Gordon, Alan, Claire, Danny, Cindy, Mary, Layla, Thomas, Sandra. That's 110 now. That's over in the last week. Thank you so much, guys. It wouldn't be possible without you. Sorry, that was just my advert, Stu.
No. Really good. You know, you absolutely need to be supported. Definitely makes a change from reporting Scotland anyway. A lot more interesting.
Let's go back to the comments. Good to see you playing guitar live from Brendan and Moflo.
I know usually I play guitar dead, you know, but it's good to be alive, you know. That's my brother. That's my brother, Brendan.
We got only Hugh could get away with a blues song about the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand. Temple Bar in Beijing.
Honestly, classic place, Temple Bar. I mean, I say McCool's is my favourite venue in Glasgow, but my favourite venue in Beijing is Temple Bar. In fact, just at what we would call Hogmanay, December the 31st, I was playing there with my band, and the place was absolutely rammed. And like my friends couldn't even get in the door. That's the rock place for Beijing. And I was in contact with them because one of the venues has already gone down in Beijing because they just couldn't pay the rent because there's no gigs at the moment. Even Temple don't have any gigs. But I spoke to the manageress at Temple, and she told me they'll definitely be reopening. They've managed to survive this time. This has been the bad thing. You know, venues, of course, are closed, but then they don't have any revenue.
Hot Cat Club?
Hot Cat Club, good place as well. Good place
Guitar
as well.
Bar?
The Guitar Bar, I think I know it, but I haven't played there. Also, you know, School Bar, Beijing, punk rock capital. Maybe I can get the gyros over. You would have a great time, I'll tell you.
I'd love to play it. Do you know one of our? I don't know if you ever introduced you to Claude, the original Gyro Babies drummer, was living in China for a few years.
That's true. I remember this going back 5 or 6 years.
Yeah,
and I ended up emailing him. I think he's in Shanghai. He was in Shanghai.
Might be. I can't remember whereabouts he was. I just know that he was in China for years. He's back. He's down in the south side now. He's back.
Right. Okay.
But we've got Petra always says, love the Bowie vocal hook. Nice vocal, nice face. I think Petra's chatting you up.
So it looks like she's got a nice face as well.
And hold on, is this want to become? Oh, this is one of the bots again. You know, we're getting good views when the bots start appearing in the comments. Lawson sends his wishes from the lockdown in Glasgow.
I see. I was in a band with Kyle, you know, and Lawson. Lawson's very talented guy, but he keeps a low profile now. But he shouldn't be keeping a low profile because he's a very talented guy.
We got Steve Daly says techno drugs based on the death bucket in your old flat.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Now, what I've actually done is I've downloaded a bunch of your pictures. So I remember Hector Berser did a song years ago slagging the whole idea of people showing you holiday photos. And I'm the opposite of that. I like a good holiday photo, seeing what people have been up to. So it's all right with you. This next section is going to be called Show Us Your Holiday Photos.
Right, it's not often people say that, you know.
Well, this is what this part of the show's all about, mate. So
right.
let's see what we've got here. And you can just explain what's going on, because I sometimes just see a photo. I was trying to download a photo for this, like this thing. And I was like, what am I going to use? And I was like, I love that. It's iconic. The Henry the Hoover head.
The Henry the Hoover, yeah. They don't have Henry Hoovers in China, so I haven't used that in China, but I use it back here, you know.
Nothing similar? Is there nothing, an equivalent?
Well, I use the water, because the tap water's not good in China, so people use those big water bottles, you know. So I've got one of them over my face with a hole for singing, you know. So I sing a song with a water bottle on my head.
Okay, well, let's talk us through what's going on here, man. So, what's this?
Well, this was me on Chinese television, CCTV, not closed circuit TV. This was a documentary about the First World War, and you know, I was the Kaiser, and it was quite funny because he said to me, "Do you know any German?" And I said, "Aye," because we used to play a little bit in Germany, so I know the phrase "Ich will ein Punkrocker sein, aber meine Mutter lässt mich nicht," which means I want to be a punk rocker, but my mommy will not let me. And then I can also say "Das nächste Lied heißt," the next song is called, and I could do "Karnicht," I can say that in German. So there was this scene that I was with Bismarck, and I'm holding a pair of leather gloves, and I'm hitting, you know, Bismarck in the face. And I'm shouting, "Ich will ein Punkrocker sein, aber meine Mutter lässt mich nicht." And then it's quite funny, the Chinese crew, they were all clapping, and they're going, "You know, great German, great German." But I know that documentary's never been shown in Germany, you know. It wouldn't be.
It wouldn't be.
No, because these things are propaganda. But this is me in the Jackie Chan movie. The guy sitting there, he was Australian, and I said to him, I made the mistake of saying to him, "Have you done any acting before?" And he goes, "Did you not watch Skippy, mate?" So apparently this guy was one of the main guys in Skippy, you know. So he was annoyed that I had no idea who he was. Well, this was embarrassing. This was a quiz show on Chinese television. You see, the thing is, when you turn up at things, you can never find out in advance what you're supposed to be doing. So this was filmed over 2 days, but it was like each day they filmed 3 episodes. And basically it was a quiz show. It was a bit like George Dore's What Are the Scores? So in between, I had to come out and dance as Superman, pointing at the phone, because the idea was to encourage people to text in, you know. And so that was it. Because I turned up with my kilt, and I thought I'll be wearing my kilt. And then the director says, no, we want you to wear this. And when he pulled out the Superman costume, and it was a bit small, I was going, oh no. But there again, I was getting paid for it, you know. So plus by then I was already away outside Beijing, you know, so there was no turning back. But it was interesting.
And we've got more. There's some crackers here. What's this?
Well, this was
at Firewall of China.
Yeah, that was at the Great Wall. And, you know, you can just pay money and dress up in the Chinese army uniform. So I don't miss an opportunity to dress up. So so that was that. In Chinese, that says, "You're not a man unless you've been to the Great Wall." And that was a quote from Chairman Mao. So I always say, this is Mao or never.
When you say that about the propaganda, how biased is the propaganda?
Well, you know, as you know, we undergo propaganda, you know, every day. It's when you read The Sun or you read the Daily Record or whatever. So I just feel that the propaganda...
Just a little less subtle. Just a little less subtle. Or
a little, like, you see, what I would say is that basically, as you know, we live in a capitalist society here. So basically, it's the capitalists put out the propaganda, you know, because they own the newspapers, you know, Rupert Murdoch, people like that. And whether in China is still communist, you know, to a great degree. So it's the government put out the propaganda. So for me, it's a little bit, you know, pick your propaganda, you know. But I don't feel it's particularly worse, you know, because, you know, people in China, of course, can use the internet very much. Yeah. And, okay, the internet is a bit controlled, but there's always ways around it. And it's only controlled in a very kind of obvious way. It doesn't take much to find other voices, you know?
Yeah. And what's happening here?
Well, this was a, you know, Mogwai came to Beijing. In fact, they played Beijing twice. And as I say, another name drop, but we did support Mogwai before. So I know
hold on.
a little bit.
I'm going to
name drop.
I'm going to get the name drop for that. Mogwai is one of my favourite bands of all time, man. So,
well, of course, they're great guys as well, you know. But what happened was my friend Louis, Liu, Louis, you know, I don't know if you know Vice website, you know, all around the world, Vice. Well, he runs Vice website in Beijing, but he's a freelance journalist. And in China, they have Q magazine as well, the Chinese edition of Q magazine. So I know you, Louis, and he was he was already going to be interviewing Mogwai, but he speaks very good English, but he was afraid he wouldn't understand the Scottish accent. So he asked me if I would come along. So I was kind of like a little bit of a
translator.
Kind of. And so I went along, and it was great just sitting chatting away to them. The gig was great. By the way, and they played a venue that would hold about 4,000 or 5,000, and it was totally sold out. You know, people don't understand there's a big underground scene in Beijing, and there's a lot of young Chinese people that actually know a lot about Western rock. And because I'm constantly surprised, there's another band called Twilight Sad.
Yes, Sad. Right, yep.
Yeah, I mean, they came, and the promoter knew that they were Scottish, and he promoted, so he asked me to come along and kind of talk to them. And I mean, again, they played a pretty big venue, and because I thought maybe there'll be nobody here, and the venue was packed. Maybe that venue held about 2,000 or 3,000. But you see, so few bands come to Beijing that I'm the same. Any band that's coming, I just go and see them, you know. Yeah. And there's a young people, you know, in China who are into rock, and you know they're the same. They're so pleased that people have come, you know.
Is the reason that there's less people going over mainly due to the fact that it's hard to get a visa to play gigs?
Well, that's true, and maybe the money's not much, and then
and also it's a bit of a risk for the record because people in China maybe aren't using like Spotify and all the Western contraptions. It's hard to know if there is a fan base there, and you know, probably hard to gauge that.
You see, one of the things is, you know, China is a massive population. It's a quarter of the world's population. So when the few bands that come to China, they tend to go Hong Kong, Shanghai, Beijing. But like, say that city, Wuhan, that's got the same population as London. Chongqing has a population of 25 million people. There's lots of big cities. And
it's crazy that the majority of the world's never even heard of Wuhan
Well, this is the thing. I think that Chinese people have a much better understanding of the West than we do of China. Like one of my French friends, you know, he had lived in Qingdao. I don't know if you heard of Qingdao. And I said it must have, and he was from Paris. And I said to him, you know, it must be weird, you know, you've spent all your life in Paris and then you end up in this kind of, I said, small town in China. And he goes, no, he says the population of Qingdao is twice the population of Paris, you know.
Wow.
So, you know, I think, you know, I feel privileged as a Westerner, you know, to be in China because because there's a lot of big things go on, and I know that I'm one of the few Westerners that's seeing it. You know,
did you find it quite difficult to adapt and integrate, or were people a bit standoffish with you at first, or?
Well, you see, China is one of the few places that foreigners often get treated better. You know, that they're so pleased to see foreigners.
So, do you think it's because I've heard a few folk that went over and they've maybe struggled, but it's probably maybe due to the fact that they've, like most people in the Western world, you expect people to speak English, and obviously China doesn't really give a shit about English language.
Well, what I find is, you know, there was when I first went to China, you know, you go to Beijing, Shanghai, there's a bit of speaking English, but you leave Beijing, Shanghai, and like you can go to towns and there's certain people have never even seen a Westerner, you know, and of course there's no way that they'll be speaking English. And so that's when you struggle. Like one time I was in grade Joe, and it was so difficult. You know, all I was looking for was the ticket office in the bus station, and that took me about an hour. And because at that time I spoke no Chinese, so I was just saying, "Where's the ticket office?" So never mind negotiate the bus and stuff. And then other things are difficult, like in order to travel on the train and so on. You know, all the Chinese have identity cards, so people, they carry their identity card all the time. So when they're booking the train, booking the bus, they need their identity card. So when you're going on the train, going on the bus, you need your passport. If you don't have your passport, you won't get on the train or bus. But you know, when you're a stranger arriving, you don't know that.
Yeah, have you watched Black Mirror?
Yes.
Right, so there's a Black Mirror that had a storyline, and then well, I don't know if it was propaganda or it's real, but there was a story over here that China is doing a point system similar to that of Black Mirror.
Well, I've heard about this. You know, yes.
It's like you've got to get certain points. You get points taken off you.
Yeah,
I think
I've heard about this. You know, I must admit, to a great degree, you know, when it comes to China, I feel that I'm a visitor there, so I don't start getting too critical and getting into stuff. I just think, imagine a Chinese student is here studying, and then they start shouting off about Scottish independence. You know, you would think a bit of a twat, you know, and, you know, China has its positives and negatives. That's what I can really say.
Speaking of what you just said there, hold on. Speaking of Scottish independence and the word twat, I've got to bring this one up. Controversial.
Right. Oh, well, I didn't realise what happened was BBC contacted me, and they were doing this programme, and it was a really good programme called Scots in China, and Neil Oliver was presenting. And of course, I've been a bit out of it, you know, because I've been in China. So I put up onto Facebook, you know, Neil Oliver, and suddenly people are going on about Neil Oliver. But actually, we had the discussion about Scottish independence in front of the class, in that class, because the class I was doing was just talking about Scotland, because I thought because the class was being filmed, you know, by BBC Scotland. So I thought I'll do my Scottish class. And so it came up. And then I actually said we hadn't discussed it, but I said we have different opinions on Scottish independence. So he did talk about that. So we spoke about that in front of the class. So, I mean, I find Neil Oliver totally fine. I think he's a very skilled interviewer, you know. Yeah. And so I took him to Punk Rock Noodle. First of all, they came and filmed me in my class, and they were with me for 3 days. And then I took them to Punk Rock Noodle. I took them to places they wouldn't normally go, and they met Chinese skinheads and all that, you know, interviewed them. And he said to me that Punk Rock Noodle is the second best bar he's ever been in the world, you know. I don't know what the best one was. And then the third night, the third night we were playing School Bar, which is like the main punk bar in Beijing, brilliant bar. And so they filmed my gig in there. And it was quite funny because a lot of times I'm doing these gigs and it's pretty crazy and it's all Chinese people. And I'm thinking to myself, I wish some of my Scottish friends were here, you know, to see this. And it was so bizarre to me because that was a crazy gig. And in the middle of it is Neil Oliver standing. And of course, he was genuinely semi-shocked, you know, because first of all, there's all these Chinese punks jumping crazy. And of course, my show, as you know, I'm a bit of a laid-back guy, but my show's a bit more over the top. So I could see on so many levels, Neil Oliver was shocked, right?
So Neil Oliver had no idea who Hugh Reed was. He didn't really know what he was getting into.
He didn't know what he was getting into. And I was running out and wrapping him with sellotape and all that stuff as well, because I was thinking, this will be good telly, you know? But they edited that bit out.
He thought he was going to get some acoustic Bryan Adams covers, and he's getting...
That's true, because it was funny. He was interviewing this Chinese skinhead, and then he said to the Chinese skinhead, you know, why did you get into the skinhead music? Is it because you like reggae music and all that? And then the Chinese skinhead said, no, it's because I like fighting people. You know, and it was, I could see Neil Oliver. He's looking at me going, what have you just got me into? You know.
I would love to go and see a Hugh Reed gig in China. Have you got any decent footage of any of your gigs in China?
Well, if people search Hugh Reed China, you see me doing a couple of songs. That was I was part of a kind of a school show that. Yeah, there's bits and pieces. Yeah, there's definitely bits and pieces up there, especially if you go to Youku, yououku.com, because that's a Chinese YouTube, and you put Hugh Reed in there, you'll see some stuff. But it's a pity that BBC Scots in China is no longer on the iPlayer. But that was good. The last like 4 or 5 minutes of that was good. You know, you saw my gig.
Well, Hugh, we're going to go back to the comments a little second, but what I'm just going to do just now is share the link for the Friday night phone-in. So the way it works is, I don't if you've seen a Friday night phone-in, Hugh, but I want you to stay on the line.
I saw the guy playing the trumpet yesterday. It was very good.
Yeah, well, that wasn't even the phone-in. That was just somebody. He said he was playing the cornet, and right. I was like, well, bring it on, and let's see it. So yeah. Kind of like it's an open call to anyone who's watching. There's loads of people still tuned in. So if you want to come on, ask you a question, ask me a question.
I don't want to overstay my welcome. Don't want to stay here too long as well.
Right.
You know?
No. Well, you can feel free to hang up at any time, Hugh.
No,
I'm not.
No.
You're here. No, I'm happy to have you.
It's my pleasure to be here.
Well, you could be like the Simon Cowell, play a Simon Cowell role here.
Sure. I've done some singing contests in China actually.
Okay, cool,
and
amazing.
I'm not really a good singer myself, you know.
Well, I'm going to put a link out right now. Have a look at this, people. In the comment, the link for the Friday. And it's not just the phone. This is the Good Friday night phone-in. The link for the Good Friday night phone-in is, ladies and gentlemen, it's in the comments now on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. You should see the link for the Good Friday night phone-in. If you've got a song, or maybe you haven't spoke to anyone in about a week and you need to you want to come on and have a wee chat, give us your chat, give us a song, give us a poem. The Friday night phone-in is now open, but I'm going to go back to the comments because things might change. So the Friday night phone-in, I will warn you, Hugh, it's a bit of hit and miss. You know what I mean?
Right. No
it can
problem.
Be really good.
I'm well used to hit and miss.
It can be really good, and it can be interesting. So the link is in the comments, guys. I'll put a banner up as well in case you want to type it in, because I know some of you can't always see it. So the Friday night phone-in is joining over here, and let's see what the comments are saying. Pick Your Propaganda is a great title for a song.
Absolutely. You know?
Raymond Dito, I think that's Raymond Dito, I'm assuming, because it's Raymonito, you know. Nothing gets past me. Twitch is better, mate. It is better. And it's after 30 days, we can monetize it as well. So apparently Twitch is going to pay us, which is would be good. That would be handy. Hold on. We got Sandra Kay. Mark, I'm loving this. Wish I'd got into it sooner, and I'm glad I'm a Patreon now. You're a great host and singer, and you have great guests that we all know and can relate to. Love it. Well done. Thank you, Sandra. Like you, I wouldn't say that I'm a great singer, but I appreciate...
Gyro Babies, but a brilliant band. Always enjoyed the Gyro Babies, you know. I'm glad you're still doing, but you always do interesting stuff, Mark, you know.
Well, you've got to keep, like yourself, you've got to keep busy, haven't you? You've got to keep, and actually, you're keeping busy as well, because you're actually on Jim Geltley's show on Sundays. That's
right. You already interviewed me for that. Just talking about this, quite a short interview, like 5 or 10 minutes, just talking about the Chinese punk rock scene. In fact, I was promoting a couple of Chinese bands, so he'll be playing like Joyside and so on. These are Chinese bands, you know, that I know.
Amazing. Is that? Oh, it's actually on Amazing Radio, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, Amazing Radio.
Amazing.
Yes.
So we've got. Oh, I've already did that one. What is it? It's. So
Lawson sends us best wishes to Lawson. I hope we can meet up sometime. You know.
So she's saying it was the girl who sang the Bowie Hoke. I was not flirting, says Petra. All right, okay. And
Yeah, that must be Angie, maybe.
Angie, was it Angie that sung Techno Drugs?
Yeah, that's right. It was Angie, as I remember. Yeah.
Richard Bananaman says, how do I get Amazon money to you on here? Right, well, the thing is that you can't yet because we've actually we've streamed enough hours and we've got enough viewers to get paid, but we need to do it for 30 days, and I think we've only been doing it for about 20. I think this is day 20 or something like that. So, oh, look who it is. Our first phone in. It's Petra. Who we just, well, she's not here yet, but Petra, I can see her name is Petra. Are you there? While we're just waiting on Petra loading up, I've put the Friday night phone in link over there. If you can't be bothered typing that all in, then it's in the comments on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook Live, where we're streaming to just now. Petra, can you hear me? No, Petra, sorry. Try again. Try again, Petra.
I heard that she had a Blondie tribute band, actually. That's what I heard.
Petra?
Yeah, if we're talking about the same person,
yeah.
You know, she's using an alias there, so I'm not sure.
Okay, so we've got so someone not happy with Jamie over Neil Oliver. Get you to tell the story about rising up out of a coffin to the wrong audience. I thought we did that, but it's just a wee bit. There's like a twist.
Yeah. Well, but what happened was the time that they carried me on at St Andrews in the Square, we had to come from a bit below, and I had no idea what was going on because I'm in a coffin. Right? I'm in a coffin, and I'm totally disorientated because they've carried me around stairs and everything. Right, so it turned out there was a poetry reading going on, and downstairs. So they put the coffin down. So before going upstairs to the venue. So as far as I'm concerned, the coffin's down, I'm out. So I come jumping out the coffin and there was a poetry reading going on. So it kind of surprised the people. You know, it surprised me. You know?
Okay, so we'll go. Oh, I had to start a new Twitch because I made a typo in the username. I don't know. I think it was good. Ray Manito. Neil Oliver, massive twat. So you've obviously missed out. He pissed off basically the independence movement.
Yeah, you know that I found out this, you know, afterwards. I mean, well, we knew where I stood on independence. I can tell you that, but I wasn't going to, you know, that was it. You know,
I remember. I can remember the way you posted it. It's like you were just posting like, "Oh, look who I bumped into in China, Neil Oliver." And I was like, Hugh doesn't know. He's not so popular. And then literally, it was like the post had been up for a few seconds, and the I think it was like the second comment was like prick.
I was so taken aback because I've always enjoyed his programs, you know. But of course, I had been out of Scotland, you know, for 5 years.
Yeah, so it's a long time.
Yeah, but of course, I come back every summer. You know, come back every summer.
Yeah, but I mean, you don't have time. You're just coming back. You're saying hello to everybody. You're just.
No, it's always great coming back. You know, I feel I reconnect. You know, and I see, like for example, you know, Colonel Mustard. It's great to see because I'm friendly with John, and John, you know, he asked me to be a guest, and this was about 6-7 years ago. And at that time, they were just playing in a bar. And then it's like, I come back and I contact John and go, what are you playing now? He's playing a big festival, you know? So I come back every year and I see them getting bigger and bigger, you know, and it's great to see that, you know?
Yeah, we just actually got a message from Colin Syme there who said that he loves you. And also Steg G sent a text in saying that calling you a legend and saying, and he was laughing at the knickers with attitude.
It's great. It was great to see Steph G because, you know, I've heard Steph G a lot, you know, but that's the first time I had seen him type of thing. But, you know, I used to run Northern Rock, you know, the community music project. And there was a lot of the Scottish rappers, you know, came in there. And they were all very heavily supported, you know, by Steg. And of course, Radio Clyde wasn't playing that music,
No.
And that really is the music. That's the music of the, the guys in, in the housing estates or whatever. That is the music, and it deserves a forum. And for me, it's really good music as well. It speaks to people. I know that from running workshops in Royston and all that the hip hop workshops. Louis. Louis. He was one of our. I employed him as a teacher, and those workshops were so popular, and they really meant a lot to the people. And I know Steg was part of that network that was kind of supporting it. Once they got their stuff recorded and so on.
Oh, I think we've got the phone in.
Steg was part of that network that was kind of supporting it. Once they got their stuff recorded and so on.
Hold on, Petra. I'm removing you from the stream for a second because you've got your delay on. So put some headphones in because there's a delay where you are. So we can't do that. We can't talk in a delay loop. But sorry about that, Hugh. Yeah, Steg is an amazing. Can you hear me? Hugh, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
No All right, problem. Yeah, sorry. Hold on, it's just getting a bit mad. It's a Friday night phone in as begun. There's John McMustard here. We've got Petra here. Okay, how you doing?
He's moving around.
I'm going to get my headphones.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Them? I'm going to. Yes, I prefer you did, man, because Petra, John, and anyone who phones the Friday night phone in, can you put your earphones in just in case? Because I can't. It's been a long day. You've no idea. It's been a long day, and I love the Friday night phone, and I love the madness it's about to be happening. But please put your headphones in so there's not a loop. And anyone who wants to give us a song or give us a poem or give us your chat, the link is in the comments. I'll do it one more time in the comments to stop. So if you want to come on, the link is here. In the comments, click that link and we'll bring you on. Okay, let's just bring on two at the same time. Petra, John, how you doing?
All right.
Oh, that was a quick one for you. I feel like that wasn't. Oh, hold on. We've got another one. Texture. All right, mate.
Hey, how you doing? Can you hear me?
How's it going? I can hear you, mate. You sound well.
Hey, good. Just dropped in to say hi.
You've got the microphone as well.
Yes, I have a microphone.
Amazing. Bram, meet Hugh. Hugh, this is Bram. Bram's a former Scottish slam poetry champion Scottish champion, and an amazing hip hop artist, and does Black Lantern record label as well. And then we've got John McMustard is back.
I'm back. How you doing? All right.
Hey, John.
All right, man.
This is like a Zoom conference now,
Yeah, it's like something corporate now.
Are you going to give us a tune, Bram? Is that what you've got set up here?
I thought it was just going to be backstage, man, but I was going to try, playing some stuff. I have no idea. I wasn't prepared to go live just there.
I don't want it. The fact that people are now saying that this is corporate, I want you to just do a tune to prove that we've not sold out. We're not a corporation. We are. You call that radio?
Oh,
no
right.
adverts.
Let me have a go.
Fuck them all. Fuck all the corporations. It's all about the patrons, and that's it.
All right, this will be a good experiment. I'm going to see
someone else.
Crazy shit.
Petra. Oh, Petra's back again. Oh, it's all about the patrons. Okay, Petra.
In and out.
I don't know what, Petra. Oh, there you are. Okay, Bram, do you want to do a song?
I'll certainly get a bash.
Somebody just fart there.
Right, do you know what? Remove you. Remove me. You're tuned into the Friday night phone in. This is Texture.
Hey, how was that? Did that all come through okay? Did that all come through okay? It was like
Aye, you know, it sounded great, man. It was amazing.
cool. Excellent, man. So I'm just testing out some new like analog synthy stuff. So thanks for letting me have a go at that, Mark.
Brilliant, mate. I appreciate it. It's a Friday night phone in. Hugh's the Simon Cowell of the bunch. What did you make of that?
I thought it was definitely interesting, experimental. You know, good beats. Great to see it coming from our living room. You know,
It's just a wee live jam, man. I'm definitely still working on the live setup there and testing things, but thank you very much.
Sure, no, it's good.
Hugh's the Simon Cowell of the bunch. Hold on, who's got a delay? Is that you, Petra?
I thought it was
Petra, it's you again. I've just muted you and it stopped. I think you've got another speaker on. You've got another speaker on.
I'm definitely still working on the live setup there and testing things.
How's that?
Thank you very much.
Sure, no, it's good.
I can hear Simon Cowell again.
Yeah, it's like 2 minutes
Oh,
ago.
I know what's happening. I know what's happening. How's that?
That's
Is
better.
that better?
Hey,
So what's you,
Oh,
Petra?
that's
What's you?
better. You know what? I had the Twitch on, but I also had StreamYard on.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you're phoning, you have to switch off your Twitch.
Yeah, you have to switch off the Twitch. How you doing anyway, Petra? You well?
I'm good, man. I'm really good, thanks. And yourself?
Yes, very well. Yeah, I'm good. It's been great to have Hugh Reed on. So yeah,
It's weird. I'm looking. Oh.
and I'm excited because I've got tomorrow with Hugh tonight, Gavin Mitchell tomorrow, and Morgan Sunday. So it's a mad Easter for me.
I'm looking forward to Mog, man. Definitely looking forward to that.
Well,
Yeah,
it's been a good Friday for me anyway. I'll say that much.
Yeah, and also Mog's like, I mean, obviously, I wouldn't believe it till I actually see it that Mog is actually going to be, it's going to work. I expect some technology to break down, and I'm still trying to figure out because Mog doesn't know how to click the link, so I need to find out a way to get FaceTime on StreamYard, and there's no easy way to do it, but there is ways, so we'll figure it out because you don't very often get Mog on the telly, so we'll make it happen somehow, some way. John McMustard.
Testing my sound out, man. I'm going to duck out just now, but thank you very much for having.
Okay, thank you, Texture. We've got John McMustard. What are you doing? Key worker. We salute you.
Thank you, Mark. I'm just out the bath. Someone actually messaged me to say wipe your sweaty brow, but it was just out a really hot bath. I've been building dens all day with the kids in the living room and watching Pokemon movies and stuff like that. So good to chat to you guys, and lovely to hear from you. I've heard some of the stories, but there's always like 5 or 6 new stories every time you see you, and they're all dynamite.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Lovely to see you, and nice to see you too, Petra.
Hey, nice to see you, John.
And we've got Hugh, when was the last time you played a Glasgow gig?
But it was about not last summer, but the summer before. Because actually I concentrated on a bit of solo stuff last time, and I did 2 gigs with John actually, through in Edinburgh, you know, because John was doing his, you know, residency, you know, at the Edinburgh Festival. So
yeah, of course. How did
it was great to have you, man. It was good. That was you had
on John's children's show to China because we met with the Chinese promoter. Remember? Well,
that's right.
You asked me to come along, John. So she's still messaging us. So hopefully that might happen. You know,
she emailed me and Hugh last week just to see how we were, which was lovely, and just to kind of say things are getting back to normal over there, and schools are planning going back in July and stuff like that. So it was nice because.
Sorry,
that's in southern China, Shenzhen, and she runs a kind of a children's theatre group. So she'd seen the Big Bad Wolf show, and she'd enjoyed that. So hopefully,
and then she came at night and saw me and you up to loads of nonsense and seemed to enjoy that.
Seemed to enjoy it. You know?
She says she's been wearing her T-shirt in China, which is cool. So that's good.
I remember you started to tell the story about that you'd met this because you hadn't seen her in the audience, but I knew she was in the audience, and you started saying this story that was going to, I knew it was going to be a bit negative, so I was running up, but it worked out fine.
Aye, that's you saved me.
So when you say China's getting back to normal, is that legit? Is that or is it being exaggerated that it's going back to normal, or is it pretty much?
Suppose it's so big that you would never really know. I suppose you would probably need to have documentary crews going there and.
No, I know because I'm in constant contact now. People can go out. Whether it's actually safe is another thing, but people are going out more. It's something. The venues haven't opened. There's no gigs, but some restaurants have opened now. Some bars have opened a little bit, slowly coming back to normal. But how safe it is, you wouldn't know. Not
just for China, but throughout the world. It's like, if it's been able to spread so quickly with just, a few people initially, then surely that can happen again if most of us haven't had it. So they talk about second and third waves and stuff like that, but it's mad because I'm trying to watch documentaries and pick up bits and bobs for different blogs, but it's almost like a bit of an unknown because folk are talking about, things will be back by August or September, but you're like, well, there's not going to, they've never in the history of mankind been able to come up with something that quick medication-wise or vaccination-wise that we can all just take and we'll be fine. So is it that just most days will have had it by then? And I don't know.
But the other thing is that maybe when you've had it, it could be, it's like when you get the flu one year, that doesn't mean you don't get the flu the next year. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what it could be, the start of these kind of, super viruses that you've been getting warned about for years.
It might be something that we have to live with. I hope not. Yeah, what I worry about is how it'll affect the live music scene. Like, for example, as I was saying, I played December the 31st in Beijing and the bar was absolutely rammed packed, and I wonder how quickly people will, like even I wouldn't like to be in a rammed packed bar, just now. So I'm wondering how long will it take gigs? Initially, I was wondering this about China, but now I wonder about it here. How long will it take for people to feel comfortable to be in a really crowded bar again,
I know what totally. It's one of the ones, though, that'll possibly benefit maybe smaller venues that don't get as much, credence as, folk will maybe go, I'm not going to the Hydro, but I'll maybe go to Stereo, so.
But they might be worried about they're in a small space packed, with many people. I don't know.
So, because in a small venue, you could get really busy all of a sudden. So
but of course, you see, the good thing is we've learned about this type of way to do things now as well. This has been happening in China as well. Lots more people are doing gigs online, so maybe the way we'll perform will change a bit as well. But of course, nothing can beat a live gig,
I think if we were if I was to go to a gig right now, a busy gig, I'd probably feel a wee bit uncomfortable. But if I was to go to a festival and have a few drinks, I'd be like, woo! It's fine. And
festivals are the way forward.
Hold on. We've got another caller in. Can we just check this is working? Oh, this is an interesting one. It's Z. Very interesting. Mark? Okay, I just need to introduce you, Z. So hold on. Petra's here as well, by the way. Hold on. Sorry, Petra. I'll bring you on as well. Okay, get Z the full screen for a second. So this is Z. It's a bit dark. Oh no, it's changing. Z is a rapper from Dundee, and he was actually the most famous man on the internet for at least a day or maybe even a week, because he said, well, it was perhaps, but Z said that. Well, tell the story, Z, and all the.
Oh, you tell it much better, Mark.
Yeah, really. Well, there's a lot of twists and turns, but long story short, Eminem. He says so. The newspaper said that he said Eminem stole his ideas. That was the thing, and he was like, "No, it's a very weird coincidence though, because Eminem had the same album name as his song, and there is a link between Z, D12, and Eminem. But the journalist tried to get some clickbait, and it was really good clickbait because the NME picked it up. All your worldwide hip hop, and things got crazy.
Aye, man. Yeah, that was good. I got a bunch of mad views off it and shit. Yeah, speaking of which, by the way, Mark, you've made on to this album. I don't know if you can about it or not. I've used the Z-list celebrity that I put out the day. I used the clips for your.
Are you using my podcast to promote your new album?
Aye.
Good on you, mate.
On yourself, man.
So there you go. You've made it on against your consent, man. Just didn't go to the papers about me, yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, what you want to do is give us a bit for the album then. It's a Friday night phone, and that's what it's all about. You've got Hugh Reed and international man of mystery in the judge's seat. So go for it, man.
John and Petra can.
Yeah, no.
Hey,
I'll just tell you where to get it, man.
Petra can be Cheryl Cole. I don't know who else. John McMustard can be Tom Jones. Are they all on the same show? Or is this, am I getting my shows mixed up? I don't watch this stuff.
They're different shows, but I'll take Tom Jones.
Nice. I'll just tell you.
Tom Jones turns around in a seat, doesn't he? He goes.
Aye.
Okay.
The voice.
Are you doing it a cappella or are you going to do it with a beat?
I'm not spitting bars, man. My throat's all fucked.
You're not spitting bars?
I'm just going to tell you where it is.
All right, okay.
You got SoundCloud. You got Bandcamp. It's on its way.